Have you ever been part of a major operation or project where everything actually went exactly according to the initial plan? Yeah, probably not. Look, in any complex environment, the exact moment execution begins, friction happens. Comms break down, conditions change, and chaos just kind of creeps in. So welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into a concept that takes all that unpredictability and literally transforms it into a massive organizational advantage. We are talking about mission command.
Now, to really grasp the solution, we've got to fully embrace the problem first. The official doctrine puts it super bluntly. War is inherently chaotic and uncertain. No plan can account for every possibility. I mean, think about that. If we accept that we can't possibly plan for every single scenario, then a rigid, top-down leadership structure, one where you need permission for every little pivot, is absolutely destined to fail when things go sideways on the battlefield. We need a system built for reality, not some perfect, predictable simulation.
All right, here's our structural roadmap for today. First up, navigating chaos through mission command. Second, the 7 core principles. Third, command versus control. Fourth, the C2 warfighting function. And lastly, the NCO's critical role as the backbone of it all. Okay, let's dive right in.
Section 1. Navigating chaos through mission command.
So, if top-down micromanagement is a huge liability in a chaotic environment, what exactly is the alternative? Well, here's the central thesis for this entire explainer. Mission command is defined as the Army's approach to command and control that empowers subordinate decision-making and decentralized execution appropriate to the situation. The absolute key takeaway here is that this is a philosophy of empowerment. It actively pushes the authority to make decisions down to the lowest possible level. It trusts the people actually on the ground, the ones staring chaos in the face, to just take action without waiting around for higher headquarters to explicitly tell them what to do.
As you'll see on this sliding scale, it's all about adjusting control. If you've got a super inexperienced, untrained team in a completely predictable situation, sure, you might need more control, explicit, vertical communications. But look over at the right side. As the situation becomes unknown and highly unpredictable, and as you build this mature, cohesive team with a ton of mutual trust, you actually apply way less control. You shift away from explicit, top-down direction toward implicit communication and highly permissive rules of engagement. Basically, you're orchestrating the team rather than micromanaging them.
Moving on to Section 2, the 7 core principles. This is how the engine actually functions on the ground.
Now, empowerment sounds amazing in theory, right? But how do you actually prevent total anarchy out there? Well, you do it through these 7 core principles: competence, mutual trust, shared understanding, commander's intent, mission orders, disciplined initiative, and risk acceptance. Competence is absolutely the foundation here, because you just can't decentralize execution if your people don't know their jobs inside and out. That baseline competence is what builds the mutual trust and shared understanding you need to finally let the leash out. But I want to zero in on the last 4, because they work brilliantly together in pairs.
Notice the dynamic interplay here between the commander's intent and mission orders. The commander's intent acts as your guardrails. It clearly defines the operation's purpose, the key tasks, and what the final end state of success actually looks like. It's telling you the why. Now, mission orders, which usually come in a standard 5-paragraph format, pair up with that intent by emphasizing the results you need to hit, but absolutely not how to achieve them. You tell a highly trained team what needs to happen and why, and then you just let them figure out the how. Which brings us right to our next pair. If you thoroughly understand the commander's intent, you are fully empowered to exercise disciplined initiative, meaning when the situation flips on its head and your original orders are suddenly useless, or your comms get totally cut off, you do not freeze. You step up, and you make a decision that furthers that overall intent. But here's the catch. You can't have initiative without risk acceptance. Leaders literally have to be willing to accept calculated, prudent risk, and subordinates need to know for a fact that taking the right risks when orders are absent is going to be fully supported.
And look at how this maps out perfectly. The principles of mission command aren't just some abstract academic theories. They tie directly back into the foundational Army leadership model: be, know, do. To exercise disciplined initiative, or build real mutual trust, a leader has to embody strong character and presence. That's the be. They've got to possess intellect and interpersonal tact, the know. And they must actively lead, develop, and get results, the do. At its core, mission command is really just good applied leadership.
All right, Section 3. Defining command and control.
We've spent some time on the philosophy of mission command, but now we've got to define the broader organizational framework that actually houses it.
It's absolutely vital to separate these two distinct terms. Command is personal. It's an art. It involves a specific individual exercising authority, bearing the heavy weight of responsibility, and making tough, judgment-based decisions. Control, on the flip side, is the science. It's the structural regulation of forces. Control is the actual systems we use to provide direction, gather feedback, manage information, and maintain communication. Command is deeply human, control is highly structural, and you absolutely need both to succeed.
That takes us to Section 4, the C2 warfighting function, where we get into the practical application.
So how do we turn all this theory into operational reality? Let's take a look at how this builds into the command and control warfighting function. Check out the center of this diagram. C2 is basically the hub that synchronizes and converges all the other elements of combat power: movement and maneuver, intelligence, fires, sustainment, protection. They are all completely useless if they aren't totally integrated. The C2 warfighting function is exactly what unites these disparate elements so you can actually accomplish the mission.
And to execute that warfighting function, you need a functional C2 system. That system is made up of 4 physical and organizational components: people, processes, networks, and command posts. You've got the command posts where the operations live, the networks transmitting all that critical data, and the processes that create actual organizational efficiency. But make no mistake, and doctrine explicitly states this, trained and effective people are always, without a doubt, the most critical, integral component of this entire system. Which perfectly sets up Section 5, the backbone. Let's talk about NCO roles as the ultimate enabler. When we talk about the most critical people making Mission Command actually function down at the tactical level, we are talking about the non-commissioned officer. The NCO is quite literally the ultimate enabler of this whole philosophy. Day in and day out, they enforce the standards and the discipline that build that required baseline competence we talked about. But highly effective NCOs go way further. They actively work to understand the commander's intent 2 whole levels up. Why? Because if everything hits the fan and comms are completely lost, they already have the broad context they need to exercise disciplined initiative immediately. They're the ones operating the C2 systems and forging that unbreakable mutual trust between the commander and the soldiers.
I want to highlight this really fantastic quote from Command Sergeant Major Marcelino Malavet. He says, "The most essential dynamic of combat power is competent and confident officer and non-commissioned officer leadership." It's so true. You could have the most advanced technology, the most brilliant networks, and the most elegantly written doctrine in the world. But without strong, confident leaders who actually understand how to empower their subordinates, it's all just noise. At the end of the day, leadership is exactly what turns doctrine into action.
So what should you really take away from all this? Well, Mission Command isn't just a concept for the battlefield. The whole idea of empowering your people, providing them with crystal clear guardrails through your intent, and then trusting them to navigate the chaos, that is universally applicable. Look at your own organization right now. I want to leave you with this question. How can you apply the principles of disciplined initiative and mutual trust within your own teams today? Are you stuck micromanaging the how, or are you truly empowering your people to achieve the what? Take a minute and think about it. Thanks for joining this explainer and keep learning out there.